So it's obvious that Fox just has no clue what to do anymore as Donald Trump continues to melt down day after day, as he continues to rapidly decline in the polls, even Fox's own polls. So they kind of use different tactics. So here you have Jesse Waters trying to give Donald Trump advice, saying, hey, Donald Trump, maybe you want to, I don't know, speak a little differently. Here, play this clip.
And so it seems like everything's working. His discipline verbally probably needs to be tightened up a little bit. But
so that's one of their approaches. Then they bring on MAGA Republican Ron Johnson from Wisconsin and go, all right, let's go full propaganda here. And let's accuse Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Governor Walz, of getting married on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square and saying maybe he's a sleeper agent of the CCP. Here, play this clip.
You know, she's a radical leftist. She chose another radical leftist. They're just assuming, again, that the mainstream media is not going to cover his background. The House is going to investigate it now. It's very strange. You know, he got married on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square. He's gone to China. He's taught in China. He's got deep connections to China.
And they're actually like doubling down and tripling down on this Governor Walz is a sleeper agent of the CCP. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Here is MAGA Republican Congress member James Comer giving his theory that he needs to investigate the relationship between Governor Walz and the CCP. Is he a sleeper agent? Play this clip.
China, and you know about China, Congressman. You did this when you looked into Hunter. When you go to China, they surveil you. If an American goes to China 30 times in the 90s, they have surveillance footage of him. They have surveillance footage probably of his honeymoon night. What kind of compromise is that? They were worried about Trump and a P-tape situation. That was all made up. This is serious business.
It's very serious. China thinks long term. It's very possible that China would be grooming an up-and-coming rising star in the political process to try to have a foothold in our government. I mean, they've done this in the military. We've caught them with spy rings in our universities. This is how China operates. They think long term. And again, I can't say this enough. When you look at Hunter Biden's ties with Communist China, it was for money. It looks like Walz's ties may be for ideology, and this is something that we should be concerned about, and we're trying to gather as much information as we can, as quick as we can, to present to the American people.
It says it a lot about Kamala Harris that you...
Okay. MAGA Republican James Comer used as his key witnesses at the Oversight Committee an actual spy for Vladimir Putin. They relied on Russian spies to attack President Biden and spies from the CCP who were arrested for actually being foreign agents trying to destroy the United States of America. Those were your key whistleblowers. And then they made up things that, oh, there are 17 audio recordings of President Biden saying this. All lies. And that's just who James Comer is. Can I just show you this too? This wasn't on Fox, but I have to flag this for you. So MAGA Republican Byron Donalds, he was attacking Governor Walz, and you'll never guess his line of attack. Well, maybe you will. He goes, Governor Walz said that he likes white guy tacos. But in reality, in 2016, Governor Walz won a taco competition where he used a special green pepper spice. Here, play this clip.
They interviewed each other. That was pretty cute, Brian. Actually, they had a little interview. That was cool. You know, white guy tacos. I guess that's a thing. Except that Tim Walz even lied about that because he won Al Franken's cook-off for tacos, actually making good ones with green chilies. The point of it all is that we have to be transparent about what matters in the lives of the American people.
Oh man, you can't make this stuff up, folks. So then you have Jesse Waters as well, just going full racist, xenophobic, and you know he's on the panel of the five. I don't think Jessica Tarlov was on this episode, so you know they just all go total right-wing conspiracy theories. And so here Jesse Waters says former President Obama is the godfather of this massive democratic machine. So we're going to be sending Johnny to Hawaii to find his birth certificate. They're literally redoing the birther thing and the certificate thing. That's what they were spending yesterday on Fox doing. Here, play this clip.
There is a weird vibe going on. I can't figure it out. But I will tell you this, Greg. Barack Obama still the godfather of this machine. He gave us Joe Biden as VP. He gave us Hillary as Secretary of State. Then he cooed Joe, put all his boys with Kamala's team, and had his wingman holder vet Walz. Now, the guy's a young 63. He's going to be doing this for the next 25 years. He's definitely going to interfere in this election. That's why we'll be sending Johnny to Hawaii to get the truth about the birth certificate. This time we will dig deep and find out what really happened.
Then you had Democratic Congress member Jared Moskowitz go on Jesse Waters. Watch this. Perfect response to Waters. Moskowitz is the best. Play this clip.
Right. So you realize that it's just like over the top flattery. You just have to say this to make the guy feel better.
We're just trying to compete with the Republicans. I mean, the flattery with Donald Trump, right? I mean, he's the best golfer, the best basketball player, best at baseball, best president, tallest person ever. He's better looking than Kamala. I mean, what man's like, I'm better looking than Kamala, or I'm better looking than a woman?
Do you think if you're a guy, you can't say, well, I'm just generally better looking than another woman?
All I know is if I ever said that, my wife would change the locks at the house and I'd see my kids with a monitor.
Well, you probably married up.
I did marry.
And then before Moskowitz went on, you had J.D. Vance as well. And just take a look at J.D. here. He looks just so out of place and inauthentic. Play this clip.
Ohio Senator and the Republican nominee for Vice President, J.D.
By the way, speaking of J.D. Vance being inauthentic, did you see that he went to like the main tourist trap Philly cheesesteak place? Like he goes to the place where the tourists go, not like where you really go in Philadelphia to get a cheesesteak. And then he was perplexed that they don't use Swiss cheese on the cheesesteak. And he said, why don't you use Swiss cheese? So I saw this person make the following graphic of J.D. Vance's rake stepping tour. My favorite New York pizza joint, it's Sparrows. I'm going to get me a New York slice at Sparrows. Next on J.D. Vance's rake tour. I like though these Democrats are going on Fox and pushing back as well. Democratic Senator Chris Coons goes on Fox, pushes back against John Roberts. Play this clip right here.
Push you out. Here's how Maureen Dowd put it. She said, quote, even though it was the right thing to do, because Joe Biden was not going to be able to campaign, much less serve as president for another 4 years, in a fully vital way, it was a jaw-dropping putsch. She basically says a coup is still a coup. I mean, essentially, I don't want to say this was a coup because nobody actually marched up to him with a spear in hand and said, get off the throne.
That is literally ridiculous.
Well, you could tell that to Maureen Dowd because those are the words that she used. But Senator, he was pushed out. I mean, there's no denying that.
John, this was the president's decision. He and he alone had to make that decision one way or the other. And as I said to him, as we were talking through that period, I intended to stay by his side every step of the way, as did all the folks who I work closely with as his campaign co-chairs and lifelong supporters. The president looked at the polls, he listened to friends and colleagues, and he made the decision to step aside. And it was selfless, and it is a remarkable act of leadership. I'll remind you that 2 weeks before, hang on a minute, if we're going to talk about attempted putches, 2 weeks before President Biden gave his inaugural speech, an angry mob stormed the Capitol. I was there in an attempt at stopping the peaceful transition of power. That's the one attempted coup that's happened in my lifetime, not persuading Joe Biden to step aside in favor of his trusted vice president.
So then
we do a lot every day, and typically at night, I need something to wind down. But I'm sick of all the calories, nasty hangovers, bloating, and other negative health implications that can come with having a glass of wine before bed. That's why I'm obsessed with Sol's new out-of-office THC gummies. Perfectly microdosed to get you blissed, not blitzed. This podcast is sponsored by Sol. Sol's new out-of-office gummies are perfectly microdosed with hemp-derived THC and CBD to give any day that chillin' on the beach vibe. I can't believe I didn't know you could buy THC products online like this. Did you know you can now buy hemp-derived THC products in all 50 states? The out-of-office gummies help you get that much-needed me time at the end of the day or during the day. They're convenient and delicious. Out-of-office gummies give you that warm, fuzzy, euphoric microdosed feeling without sending you to the moon. You could go for a jog, watch your favorite TV show, or head out to a party. Whatever floats your boat. Sol's out-of-office gummies have given me the perfect way to chill and maintain my sanity while trying to stay on top of my game and keep my anxious thoughts at bay. Sol was founded 5 years ago by brother and sister duo Mike and Angie Lee. Mike is a former world-ranked professional boxer, and Angie is an author and professional speaker who had the desire to create natural alternatives to medication that tackle problems they deal with themselves, like sleeplessness, anxiety, focus, and pain. And that's not all Sol's got. Whether you're looking for a sleep aid, enhanced focus, or pain relief, Sol has all your wellness needs covered. And Sol's products are grown right here in the USA, organically farmed and gluten-free. So give Sol a try. Head to getsol.com and use code Meidas for 30% off your order. That's 30% off your order using code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S. One last time, that's getsol.com and code Meidas for 30% off.
But look, that's not going to stop MAGA Republicans from spreading their hate and lies and propaganda. Here's the Trump spokeswoman, Caroline Leavitt. Here she talks about how, why aren't they talking about the migrant crime epidemic at the Democratic National Convention? Here, play this clip.
And watching night one of the DNC was like watching an alternative reality. There was no mention of the migrant crime epidemic that has been allowed to transpire because of Kamala Harris's job as border czar, her open border policy. There was
Well, Caroline, they're not talking about the migrant crime epidemic at the Democratic National Convention because there's no such thing as a migrant crime epidemic. There's no stats that show migrants commit more crimes than American citizens, number one. Number two, the Democrats are talking about the border over and over again. If you actually want to turn on the Democratic National Convention, and what they talk about and what Republicans who are speaking, mainstream Republicans, mainstream conservatives who are speaking at the Democratic National Convention, what we're all talking about is there was a bipartisan border deal whose lead negotiator was the Republican senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford, who got what he wanted from the deal. And Democrats compromised. And Donald Trump said, kill the bill, MAGA Mike Johnson, kill the bill, MAGAs in the Senate, because Donald Trump said it was a winning issue for him to run on chaos at the border. So President Biden couldn't get a bipartisan deal. Then President Biden had to issue an executive order, which he did. And now border crossings are down less right now than they were under the last year when Trump was in office. So let's just stick to the facts, please, Caroline Leavitt. And then you have Maria Bartiromo bring on this guy, MAGA Republican Representative Randy Weber, who just accuses Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz of being Nazis. Play this clip.
Your thoughts on taxes and where they go in a Harris administration?
When their policies are lousy, let me make this observation, Maria, real quick, if I can. The communists and the Nazis had the worst product history ever, but they had the best salesman. And that's what we're seeing going on here. The Biden-Harris team has the worst product. They can't talk about what their plans are. They want to blame corporations. They want to blame energy companies. They want to blame the wealthy. They want to blame somebody else. And as you point out, they're not going to give you a concrete plan for where they were. And they want to blame Trump for the border. They're not going to give you a concrete plan for what they want to do.
All right. We'll keep watching. We're waiting for that plan, sir. Thanks very much for joining us, Congressman.
Thanks, Maria.
And then here you have Maria Bartiromo, just completely like mainstream, the great replacement conspiracy theory, this racist theory. And again, just to try to scare people, divide people. They see the joy taking place at the Democratic National Convention, so they want to stop that joy. Here, play this clip.
Sure about their intentions, and they could be perhaps against America. Why? Why keep the border open?
Maria, I think it's very simple. Number one is they want to flip Texas. They thought that they could flood Texas with enough illegal immigrants, somehow get them to vote and flip Texas. There's no path forward for a Republican Party to win a nationwide election without winning Texas, let alone just increasing the counts. Maybe they can flood California and replace all those people that are leaving and try to build the number of electoral votes that they get as well. This is all about elections. Don't forget what's happening already at the local election level. We're seeing in Washington, D.C., again, California, other states where they're letting these illegal immigrants vote in local elections. So those have consequences as well. So it's absolutely all about getting illegal immigrants. They think that they're going to be voting for Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, I got a tip over the weekend that these DMV offices are jam-packed with illegals, and they're getting them Social Security cards and driver's licenses. Do you have any evidence that illegals are registered to vote?
Yeah, I'm holding my tongue here, but they are registering to vote in local for local elections. I cannot make that comment for a statewide or a national election, but they absolutely are registered to vote in local elections in Washington, D.C., California, and some other states. As long as you're a resident there, they're letting you register to vote.
No one does it like Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation. Here he is on Fox, pushing back perfectly. Watch this, play this.
Big showing for the president yesterday. They put him at 11 o'clock, though, last night. And a lot of people were saying, we love you, Joe. We love you, Joe. But he's no longer the nominee. A lot of questions, though, about it, because the New York Times writes that all the cabinet meetings that the president has been having have been scripted. They said 9 months since the latest cabinet meeting. Axios writes that he's only available for work between the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then the Wall Street Journal says when it came down to the debt ceiling negotiations back in 23, Nancy Pelosi had to take over it. Is this the reason why he's no longer the nominee for your party?
It's funny. Sometimes I feel like conservative media and the Republican Party still think they're running against Joe Biden. He had an opportunity last night to demonstrate his achievements, right? The fact that he is responsible, for example, for the biggest run of job growth in the history of the American presidency. I think in any job, but especially the presidency, you want to be judged by your results. People want to nitpick the show flow of a cabinet meeting when we have had a country that, when he inherited it, was in a condition where you couldn't even approach the Capitol because of the violent assaults on the Capitol by Trump supporters. Not just getting our country moving on from that, not just getting our country back on its feet from the COVID collapse, but all of the other things that he did, including, by the way, delivering the infrastructure bill that Donald Trump promised and failed to deliver.
I know you got the talking
points. You want to go off how many hours he's in which office at what time?
But these weren't conservative outlets. I guess you can say the Wall Street Journal is, but
but you're a conservative outlet. The first thing you're asking about is what time is it a cabinet meeting instead of his achievement.
I just want to know, when did you guys know that the president was unfit to be on your ticket?
The president is not unfit.
So why is he not the nominee right now?
Because he did something that Donald Trump cannot comprehend, which is to put his ego aside.
I just want to get my question out. Why did you guys wait to the last minute to switcheroo after everyone saw? Can I just finish my question? And I'll let you answer, Mr. Secretary. But you guys waited until after the debate, where everybody in America saw what happened that day. And all of these reports are coming out that you guys knew behind the scenes, the cabinet members were frustrated, that he couldn't do the negotiations with Nancy Pelosi and that she had to take it over.
What negotiations with Nancy Pelosi? When was
the debt ceiling in 2003, when it came down to the debt ceiling negotiations, that she had to take it over because he didn't know the talking points.
He won the debt ceiling negotiations. That's the point. You can go over whether he slips up and says one name when he wants to say another name, or you can look at what he's actually accomplished as president. It turns out he's really good at being president of the United States.
So let's talk about the...
And finally, speaking of Caroline Leavitt, who I showed you before, here is when Fox called her out before. This was about 2 months ago, I think, where they called her out and saying, why are you calling people these nicknames that are like baby, like petulant third grade bully weirdo nicknames, like Gavin Newscum? Like, can you act like adults? Just, no, I think that Americans like the way we talk about people. Here, play this clip.
Okay, Karen, I've got a complaint. I know the campaign wants to win over Nikki Haley's voters, but I don't think you do that with name calling. For example, I take issue with Trump's new nickname for California governor, calling him New Scum. I don't think that's a good idea. I object to that kind of language. How about you?
Well, I think that what Governor Gavin Newsom has done to the once great state of California is terrible. You see real scum, real homeless people all over the streets.
Excuse me, are you okay? Are you saying it's okay to bring that kind of language to a presidential campaign? New scum? That's okay?
I think the real problem here, Stu, is the policies of the deranged Democrats from Gavin Newsom to Joe Biden
I think your
that have destroyed
campaign has
American
a problem with
communities
language
across
like
this
that.
country.
You don't agree with me, but I think your campaign has a problem with language like that.
Well, I don't think voters respectfully agree with you either, Stu. If you look at the resounding wins that President Trump has received across the board.
You think you're going to win over Haley voters with language like that, do you? You win over moderates and women with language like that? Really?
There you have it, folks. Fox losing its mind. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. I want to get to 3 million subscribers this week. You think we can get there this week? Hit subscribe. Let's try to get there together. Thanks for watching.